A total of 1,308 respondents from 10 ASEAN member states participated in the survey conducted by EC's Yusof Ishak Institute. 59.9% of the respondents continue to see China as the most influential economy, while 41.5% see China as a political strategic power in the ASEAN region. However, China's growing influence is not well received by the region. Can ASEAN continue to expect robust growth from China? Will ASEAN choose the US or China if tension were to break out between the two countries? We are going to discuss this today. Hi everyone, welcome to What's Up SG. Who will ASEAN choose, the US or China? China surpasses the US, with 59.9% of the respondents sees China as the most influential economy, while 41.5% view China as a political strategic power in the ASEAN region. However, nearly two-thirds or more of those who view China as the most influential in ASEAN express their concern about its expanding influence. If forced to choose between the two major powers, 61.1% of the respondents voted for the US, an increase from 57% last year as compared to China's 38.9%. 61.1% of the Singapore respondents choose the US despite Singapore being the largest foreign investor in China since 2013, with investment in China having risen by 2.6 times from $70.7 billion in 2012 to $257.7 billion in 2021. But are the days of China's robust economic growth over? With China opening up its economy after 3 years of draconian COVID-19 lockdown, IMF expects China's economy to expand 5.2% this year. However, China still faces significant economic challenges. The contraction in real estate remains a major headwind and uncertainty of the virus outbreak in China recently. Longer-term headwinds include shrinking population and slowing productivity growth. Without reforms to boost the declining productivity growth, IMF projects China's GDP growth to fall below 4% in the next 5 years. China's debt bubbles and property sector fatigue are driving the risk of economic failure. China's property sector represents around 25% of China's GDP, but this critical pillar of growth also requires surging amounts of debt, according to SCMP. On January the 3rd, an indebted Chinese local government financing vehicle, LGFV, in Guizhou province made international news when it announced it would delay repayment on loans worth 15.6 billion yuan or $2.3 billion by 20 years, as per an agreed debt restructuring plan with creditors' bank. Chinese LGFVs are widely known to be debt-ridden, and the debt is estimated at 60 trillion yuan or $8.8 trillion. Evergrande, China's largest property developer, collapsed in 2021 and had to restructure $300 billion worth of liabilities. China's non-financial sector debt rose to about $52 trillion last year, or 295% of GDP. China's corporate sector borrowing made up the largest part of China's total debt, which is equivalent to 128% of its second quarter GDP last year, excluding LGFV debts. LGFVs began aggressively purchasing land last year to soften the revenue fall. Many of these purchases occurred in lower-tier cities with weaker real estate markets, which many believe will increase the risk. As developers experience severe cash crunches, increasing numbers of rotten tall buildings emerged, leading angry home buyers to boycott their mortgage payments. Although the Chinese regulators rolled out plans to aid the property market, which included credit support to debt-laden developers, extending maturities of existing loans, reversing the 3 red lines rule, and efforts to ensure the completion and handover of unfinished projects, it is becoming harder for China with negative population growth. The demand for housing in China's city, especially lower-tier cities, has already slowed, and a shrinking population will further slow down housing demand. A rapidly aging population will increase the burden of local government spending on welfare amid worsening budget deficits. 40% of China's local bonds will fall due in the next 5 years. To compound China's debt problem, global investors are ditching the 3% yield on Chinese government bonds for better yield in China offshore credit and long renminbi, as China is expected to tighten the monetary policy as the market opens swiftly, according to Reuters. Investors had sold 616 billion yuan, or 19.6 billion US dollars, representing 15.3% of the Chinese government bonds. Foreign direct investments into China fell 29% in December and 33% in November last year, as the Chinese authorities made a chaotic exit from the zero-COVID policy and outbreak of infection across the country. Foreign businesses have become increasingly pessimistic about the Chinese market. It is not clear how quickly people will return given the rapid spread of COVID-19 infections recently, along with a lack of sharing of the infection and death by the Chinese authorities. CCP lacks regulatory transparency. In 2020, it cancelled the IPO of Ant after Jack Ma criticized the CCP for the lack of a financial system in China, causing investors to lose 14 billion worth of investments. WSJ said the investors would be stuck with the investment unless Ant is listed. Jack Ma has since relinquished control of the company, and Ant said it has no plans for listing. Is ASEAN concerned about the regional and global conflicts? Increased tensions in the Taiwan Strait and unresolved disputes with China are the biggest potential flashpoints affecting the region. 43.3% of the respondents fear that the outbreak of hostilities in Taiwan Strait will destabilize the region, and 28.7% feel that ASEAN countries will be forced to take sides. US President Biden said in September last year that the US would defend Taiwan in the event of a Chinese invasion. China has never renounced the use of force to bring Taiwan under its control, which Xi reiterated at the 20th Congress of the ruling Communist Party in October last year. Any war over Taiwan, a major producer of semiconductors, has the potential to crash the global economy. It could draw the US and its allies into direct confrontation with China. 82.9% of the respondents expressed their concern over the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and 58.3% expressed concern with increase in energy and food prices. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February last year, CCP has not condemned the invasion. According to USCC, China has supported Russia's militarily and boosted Russia's revenue. CCP exported military, dual-use technology items as well as computer chips and computer components to Russia, despite international sanction. China's independent oil refiners may be purchasing oil above a price cap on Russia crude oil that G7 introduced on December the 5th last year. The price cap is intended to reduce the revenue Russia receives on oil without fully cutting off supply from Russia and avoid a spike in the price of oil. Well, my friends, that's all for today. Do you think that China will continue to enjoy robust growth? Will you choose the US or China? Please don't forget to share, subscribe, and like our video. Thank you for watching.